So my current class load is mostly with COM 2500, so the communication department's basic course. And so the way students can succeed in that class, there are a couple of different things. Number one is the importance of showing up and being there, right? And so being a part of the classroom experience daily is important, and I try to make sure that the classroom experience is engaging enough that students would want to come, right? So I realize the course that I'm very blessed and privileged to teach is not necessarily the course that everybody is just jumping on their feet to take. It's public speaking, and so it's sometimes it's a little intimidating. And so for me, the idea of creating a very engaging and dynamic classroom environment is important. So if you come, then hopefully that'll be something that the students enjoy. But also in that process, just being able to come to class, and also being able to take good notes and being able to be present in class. It does none of us any good if either I am checked out of class cognitively or if my students are checked out of class cognitively. And so just making sure that we're engaged and we're present. And I like to tell my students, if you're here, I got some good stuff for you. So and I really do believe that the course that I'm teaching now is a course that will benefit my students not only here at Clemson in just about every major on campus, but it will also benefit them throughout their life as Clemson sets them up for success in whatever area, whatever they've decided to go into, whatever major and the profession that they're looking at. We're believing that the tools that they're being given right now in COM 2500 will benefit them in a great way and during the long haul. So engagement for me starts the minute I walk through the door, and hopefully the minute the students walk through the door. So in the past, one way that students that I try to make students engaged is number one, playing music. So creating an atmosphere. 8 a.m. classes, man, it's tough to roll out of bed. Nobody wants to be there. Some days I don't even want to be there. It's 8 a.m. Good grief. And so creating an environment in which we are excited to be there. Our bodies get a little more exercise. So sometimes I'll have, especially the 8 a.m. class, have them get up on their feet, and we'll do stretching exercises for 30 seconds, and use our voices just a little bit, smile at the people next to us through the mask, all those wonderful things, and so we'll do several things like that. I'll have a question of the day, so I'll ask students a question about favorite ice cream, something like that, just to get their brains working and thinking, and then in that process, we're also tying in some skills that they're going to be able to learn. So for instance, on the first day of class, I asked my students, should pineapple go on pizza? And no, absolutely not. We've always got like two that say yes, absolutely. And my follow-up question is why? And so about 6 or 7 weeks later, I start tying that back in. I say, hey, you remember back when I asked you if pineapple should go on pizza, and asking the question why? By that time, we're looking at evidence, and we're looking at how do you build an argument. And I start saying, that's the question that your instructor is going to be asking every time you make an assertion, every time you make a statement in your college career. You're going to have to answer the question why that's the case. And so different things like that, just to incorporate material and incorporate student learning, and hopefully set them up for success in their college career is important. And then we'll also do class-wide discussions on on different topics within the material that we talked about during that day, and just using a variety of different instructional tools, small group discussions, class-wide discussions, and videos, different things that can help students succeed. I'm, I guess, a little old-fashioned. I try to reach out to students. Number one, in preparation for things like speeches, I give class workshop time. I devote time in class to workshop experiences so that I can work around that room and ask questions. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What are you struggling in? What do you feel like might be helpful? All those different things. And so that's one way I can kind of get a sense as to who is having some struggles, either maybe some communication apprehension with the idea of getting up and giving a speech, or if someone is procrastinating a lot, that can certainly be a sign of they're really not wanting to do this, right? And so being able to help them and hopefully alleviate some of that concern. So definitely trying to detect issues early and being able to be there for students. And then the important thing there is follow-up. And so maybe an email or sending some kind of communication saying, hey, how you feeling now? So after we've done workshop for a day or two, and after you've taken a look at what you've got to do, how are you feeling now as the time progresses? And the final thing, so that works for in-class projects and projects that they've got to do for me. But the final thing that we do is I at the beginning of class, again, I'll ask them, all right, tell me something good, or tell me something bad that's going on, right? And so I can kind of get a feel for how students are doing. Okay, this is the week every other professor at Clemson decided to give a test, right? And so we've got, I need to remember that as maybe I'm grading, or if I've got an assignment coming up, recognizing that, hey, COM 2500, it's important, but there are other, somebody's got a physics exam, and all the excitement along with that. So just kind of trying to keep my thumb on the pulse of what's going on is an important aspect for me. So for me, and I keep a journal as I teach. I keep a journal, and at the end of my class day, I try to sit down and write whatever has happened in the day. Did this work well? Did this not work well? Was this day just it's raining outside and everybody's just there and they're just there, so they're just kind of and I'm just there, so it's what I try to get out of every class is hopefully an understanding that I gave them something that will help them in the next week, in the next 4 years, some kind of piece of information, because that's a good reason to come to class. I don't want to waste students' time. I don't want to waste my time, right? And so the desire to give them something that is beneficial to them is certainly something that I want to be able to take away after a day in class, and also evaluating how did the day go as far as engagement. Were students engaged? Was that going to happen? Was it due to, if students weren't engaged, is it due to the fact that they've got 3 physics exams later on, or is it due to the fact that I could have spent a little more time working on something that would have made them more willing to participate? And so evaluating that's an important thought, important element. My work during COVID was actually I was a TA. This was my first year of teaching, and I was so interesting. Funny aside, I had a student come to me like, first day of March, right? And he's like, there's this rumor going around that we're going to be going online and all this stuff. And I'm like, nah, we're going to be fine. No worries. You're going to be just fine. We're going to be here, and don't put stock in rumors. Right. And, well, I ate those words for the next 8 weeks. Right. And so, within like a week, we were gone. And so I learned some fun little lessons there. They weren't really fun, but I learned some lessons there that were exciting and stressful and all that good stuff. And so I was working on graduate work, and I was teaching two sections of the basic course and all of those glorious things. And so it was unique. But interesting thing that came out of that, and kind of my lemonade out of lemon story, is that my field of study is instructional communication. And so my question coming out of that was, how could I have done things different, and how could I have done things better in such a stressful environment? I mean, this environment, 100-year event, right? And so it's although it's rare, there are going to be events in the life of an instructor and in the life of a university when life throws us curveballs, and we've got to be able to adapt to that. We're still learning to adapt as far as year and a half, almost 2 years later. How do we teach sometimes online? How do we teach folks who are having to quarantine due to COVID? All of those things. So my question during that time was, were we able to retain students, and were they able to stay engaged, right? The fear was, all right, did students leave and decide this isn't for me because of the pandemic and having to learn online? And so how did we retain students? How did we engage? And how did, specifically, since it's instructional communication, how did instructors communicate and help their students succeed during that time? And so that was my thesis for that next year, was studying that and sitting down with a group of students who were there during that time and asking them that question of, how did your instructors help you stay engaged, and how did they help you? How could they have helped you be more satisfied in the learning that you received? And so different things like that. So it was a unique time, but some good came out of it, and I learned a good bit. I would like to continue instructional comm research in some fashion. If I can, we'll see. I've still, oddly enough, so I get to Clemson. It's the first 2 weeks, and oddly enough, I've still got this research bug. And so I'm sitting here talking to one of my people or one of the people in the office, and I'm like, I have a really weird feeling. I've still got a bug to do research, and they just kind of looked at me, strangely, and I'm like, I'm not. So it was odd, but I still do. And actually yesterday I was sitting there thinking about, because we've just had a big assignment in my class, and sitting there thinking about, an element of that and an element of instructional comm that maybe somebody needs to dig into. So you never know, maybe here in a year or two, once I get my sea legs and keep asking questions, I'll get back on that horse and see what happens. So, as far as hobbies that came out of quarantine, let's see. So I learned how to walk and / jog a lot more, because if I didn't, I would go insane. And so my parents live in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and so I basically quarantined with them. And if you've ever been to the valley, it's beautiful. It's got these beautiful mountain ranges on both sides, and so they're kind of in the middle of it, and right above their house, about a mile up the road, is a beautiful church and a really long driveway, and it's got this massive hill, and so you can see these beautiful 360-degree views. And so I learned how to jog and walk and and just kind of decompress a little bit. And so that was probably the only thing that's come out of that. And I still do that on Clemson's campus, and still walk and jog the trails, and love doing that. And it's a wonderful way after a long day of teaching to get out of there and just go for a run and kind of breathe a little bit. So as far as what I enjoy working, why I enjoy working at Clemson, there are a bunch of wonderful things. I think one thing that I've really enjoyed is getting to know some of the people, and finding out that there is a wonderful community, especially within the Department of Communications. Some fantastic scholars in this field, but also just fantastic all-around people. And that's wonderful to know, and wonderful to be able to get to know some of them, and working with them has been fantastic. And also working in the Clemson environment, and just what an energetic and fun place it is, and orange everywhere and purple everywhere. That's always exciting. I love seeing folks who are excited about their school, and excited about their environment that they're in. And so that's been great. I love the area. You know, it's similar to where I grew up, and so as far as, you've still got the Blue Ridge Mountains not too far away. And as a matter of fact, I took a drive one day and just drove up and up and up and up, and had this beautiful view at the end of it. And so you know, just being able to look at that and take those beautiful runs along the lake in the evenings has been a lot of fun. So, well, number one, some encouragement for communication students, not just advice, but encouragement, is the fact that you're in a fantastic nation-leading department. And so within the communication field, you've landed in a good spot, and you've got scholars who are top-notch in their field, who are working to encourage their students and bless their students with fantastic knowledge and fantastic experiences that are going to continue. I think one of the elements that makes Clemson's Department of Communication so special is, and I think we even list this in maybe the mission statement. It's been a while since I've read it, but I think we do, is the idea of individualized learning. And so encouragement, you're in a good place where individualized learning happens, and where you can get that individual attention from instructors. But also advice, take advantage of that, right? You know, speaking for myself, I believe in that individualized learning, pouring into individuals themselves, and looking at their own lives, and being able to, you know, to give them help for their own interests and things of that nature. And so looking at that, taking advantage of that individualized learning, that's a big deal. And so being able to do that and come to class, my goodness, there's probably something worth coming to class for, you know, and all that good stuff. But, so that's good advice, and just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. You know, I was thinking back the other day, you will not get these days back, and so being able to enjoy the fantastic experiences that you're having, enjoying being around the people that you're with, and you know, just enjoy the journey. Go get a box of Raisin Canes one night, just with some humans, and just enjoy it. You know, just enjoy the people. So that's my advice.